A little bit of teaching on the process of the seven rays, yeah, and how that is involved with the relationship of evolution, yeah, and meditation and my own incarnation. Yeah. Being Glastonbury, yeah, and Glastonbury is quite a place. Its history is that Jesus was there. History is that Joseph of Arimathea was there. History is that Jesus said, pick this spot, this is my land, Joseph bought it, and, build this little temple, which is 12 huts that represented in many different directions. A lot of different people give reasons as to why the 12 huts and why Jesus chose that spot and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. The influence of the avatar is that it's such a rare event. Yeah, it's like a person. Yeah, and where that person ends up is important. Yeah, because it serves the whole. Yeah, so it's a very cosmic kind of situation. Everybody has free will, yeah? But you got to think of the avatar as really not having any free will whatsoever, yeah? And that the influence of the avatar is very much in relationship to blessing, yeah? Presence, yeah? The angel of the presence, or the I am presence, or the presence of the Lord, that's one, yeah? And if that presence is physical, then that presence is radiating on a physical level using the elements of nature to make that body. Yeah? And being a human, being amongst and a part of the human kingdom. Yeah? So every kingdom, yeah, due to the fact that this is a human, this is a person who eats, this is a person who sleeps, this is a person who lives in the cycles of day-to-day life. Yeah, but in those cycles of day-to-day life, it's different, yeah, to the avatar than it is to most people, because to the avatar, every day is a really holy day, really eventful. Yeah, it is an ushering in of a collective cosmic process, yeah, that has to do with God's order. Yeah, the what would put Christ on earth? Where would Christ go? Why would Christ be in all these things, is a part of order. Yeah? It's a part of God's order. Yeah? And so Christ is carrying that order out, carrying, the orders of God out. Yeah? And it doesn't look like much of anything, yeah? Because it's just, doing shit, do whatever day-to-day reality is. But the real energetic principle is the fact that there's a chakric energy that happens inside the Lord that has to use the elements of the earth and stand on the earth, yeah, and radiate and work with, the elements of the earth in any given location. So in my case, almost all the time when I travel, it's to holy places, yeah, all the time, yeah, and I show up and it happens to be on a holy event, yeah, and I don't have the time to be looking up everything and trying to figure out in advance, what are all these things, but after the event or maybe during the event, I'll check it out, yeah, and holy crap, it's amazing, yeah, truly amazing. No matter where I go, no matter what I'm doing, it is so overwhelmingly amazing, yeah, and what it does to the planet. Like here, on this particular spot, the reason why God chose this spot, why God led me to this spot, why God put everything together, to manifest this scenario, which anybody in their own right mind would take this as just a material outcome. Yeah, even with teachings or anything presented behind it, it's still Who knows, kind of thing. Yeah. But where I come from, it's not like that. Yeah. It's a law. It's God's plan. It's very, 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 very rare. And it's formulating. It's creating a formula, manifesting something. So if we look at this place, and where I say, okay, this is like the oldest place, this spot where I'm sitting is the oldest spot on planet Earth. The oldest spot. Yeah? Oh, what the hell makes me say that, you know? Why would I want to say that, you know? And as time goes on, it actually comes out as evidence that anthropologists and others show that this particular location in the world happens to be the oldest location in the world. Yeah? And the lake is up to runner-up between first and second as the oldest lake in the world. Yeah? You know, so being drawn to this place and asked to build, you know, the Planetary Healing Center here, you know, where I come from, that makes all the sense in the world because it's better to start in the beginning. Yeah. No matter where everybody else is at, or everybody's like, you know, here, you know, maybe tomorrow, maybe yesterday, you know. But I'm everywhere. I'm everything. You know, I'm all parts of time and space. Yeah. So I understand what's going on. Yeah, I understand, you know, why this place. So I try and explain why this place, you know. And it really takes a long time for all of this to actually come into form. Yeah. Why would I call this place Shambhala? Yeah. Why would I build a temple here? Yeah. Why would I put it on top of a mountain? That's the oldest mountain on planet Earth. Yeah. Probably one of the safest places on planet Earth because it has venting process going on naturally, creating electricity for all of Northern California. You know, it has the oldest volcanoes that erupted millions of years ago, you know, and aren't going to do it again anytime soon. But they move a lot because it's like a core central point for the entire planet, for the energetic influence and flow of the magma of the Earth. It's so old. Yeah? It's like one of the first points where things started up. Yeah? You know, continents started coming out, manifesting what it is. Yeah? And all of that is part of God's plan. And it's a location, it's a specific reality, there's energy behind it. You know, all of that is part of God's plan. Yeah? And so we put this place here, and it's called Shambhala, Vajradhara, Maitreya, Sangha. Yeah? And that's giving, you know, a blessing to the world. You know, saying Shambhala is one thing. Yeah, Shambhala is like in the Jewish religion. It's literally the covenant of heaven. It's literally the temple. Yeah, and then Vajradhara. You know, we're talking about Adam. We're talking about, you know, a self-born being that manifests a mate in order to create life. All just part of nature. All just part of creation. Yeah, yeah. So that's just what happened in the beginning. You know, is actually established here in words. Shambhala, the intention. Vajradhara, the creator or the maintainer of all of nature. You know, where everything will end up. Men and women and love and soulful relationships and coming in and out of lives that are so connected, so harmonic, because it's all about right relationship and timing. Yeah. The whole of the earth is set up in relationship to humanity, manifesting some pretty bad karma. And in doing so, they separated the timing of incarnation between God and heaven. They manifested injustice toward humanity. They manifested poverty due to greed. Yeah, all of that sort of thing isn't a part of God. Yeah, it's a part of humanity. And humanity creates this whole other dimension, really, really physical and really, really astral, and really, really messes up the outgoing process of life and death and the incoming process of life and death. Yeah? And God can only try and fix it. It's all God could do. So he sends his son. He sends an incarnation in order to represent right relationship, where there's no astral plane, yeah, and there's no furthering of that glamour, even if it's in one being or in the manifestation of two or more. Yeah, it will manifest as heaven on earth because it's God's plan. It's God's original plan, manifesting a constant regeneration of that essence until it takes complete hold of all the kingdoms. Yeah. So it's really a matter of adjusting and healing the manifestation of the astral plane that comes out of the astral body. Yeah. Humanity has inside their being, in their consciousness, their natural beingness has an astral body. That astral body has a psychic energetic field to it. Yeah? It has the ability to love another person. Yeah? Yeah? The ability to love a plant, to actually kind of see its purpose, sense its purpose. Yeah? Know the difference between good and bad. Yeah? Feel the relationship. Yeah? And build a relationship. Yeah? It's all a part of that astral body that does that. Yeah? Without that, we don't have a connection with our soul. We have a connection with our material karma and our density and our lack of understanding and our confusion. Because that psychic field that should be connecting is sitting in a disconnected scenario. You know? And it usually comes from past lives. Imagine you live 50, 60 years. The shit you could do in 50, 60 years, and you think you're not going to get busted for it. Yeah? You think nothing's going to come down. You know? No sense really praying hard. You know? No sense really learning to be a good person. No sense stopping drinking. No sense stopping, you know, all these different things that you know somewhere in your consciousness. We all know that these things are not the things we should be doing. Yeah? Even in the 1800s or the 1600s or the 1400s or before Christ. We know this stuff. Yeah? And it troubles us. Yeah? That is what is in our life. And it's so hard to choose which way to go because it's so easy to just, you know, drink, you know, numb the astral body. Yeah? Numb the connection to your relationship to God. Numb. You know? Do that same thing by finding fault in another person and holding on to it and never forgiving them. It does the exact same thing to a person. It reaches into the astral field, into the astral body. Yeah? And it stops the astral body from doing what's correct. Understanding. Knowing that life is hard. People do shit. Yeah? You can't take it personally because you've done shit too. And the astral body helps you understand that. It keeps you in a state of conscience, yeah, to where you can deal with that sort of thing. Yeah? But when you have other people who lost that conscience and are driving you to do similar, yeah, our history shows that is the case all throughout our life. Yeah? And according to the Bible, ever since Babylon, ever since Babel, ever since the fall, ever since, you know, yeah? And, you know, who's to say anything? All I'm saying is that there is a truth in right relationship, and right relationship is natural inside of humanity. Yeah? So I believe that the process of the incarnation of the avatar has to do with a working out of a plan and a manifestation of that plan. And when the avatar is on the earth, the avatar doesn't waste any time. Yeah? It's highly busy, you know, being moved from place to place. Jesus being moved to Egypt really quick, you know? Get out of there fast, you know? Yeah. Maybe he's too young to hear or tell anybody. So he's got AIDS, he's got, you know, but that's what happens with the avatar. It happens with Krishna, it happens with Jesus, it happens all the time. Yeah? Pretty sure that's how I ended up where I ended up. Yeah. So every single relationship to the avatar has to do with the avatar actually having no free will in the process of life like other people do. Like the avatar can't choose to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. Yeah? Unless that's part of the plan. The avatar is stupid in anything that the avatar moves toward that isn't meant to be done. But incredibly brilliant toward things that are meant to be done. Yeah? So the path is set. God only puts light where your path goes. That's destiny. That's, and none of it has anything to do with logic and, material understanding. Like finding this place, coming here, all the events of coming up, even buying such a big purchase, and the situation that there just so happened to be money coming from one position and this situation coming up, and if everything worked out right, the two would come together perfectly, yeah, without any problems, yeah, and it did, but it was all the way to the hair of, shit, this isn't going to happen, this can't happen, this is asking way too much, because I was asking way too much. I was asking way too much for a place in the UK that covered exactly the cost of a place that was going to be the ashram in the United States. And it made no sense, but we did it. People bought it, gave us a check, got it just a week before the land needed to be paid for, before we signed. And it had to be signed on a specific day, on December 21st, 2006. Specific date, everything. That's the way it works with me. Things are very specific. It's not just, whatever. It seems like whatever because I agree. Yeah? And when I agree, I make it easy. I make everything come together. I put my time and energy behind it, and it comes together like crazy. Yeah? But that, to me, that's because another holy event is taking place. It doesn't matter if I'm going to San Francisco or heading to San Diego or wherever I'm going. It has to do with the healing of the earth and a change in processes that are going on. Yeah? So setting up a place like this place in time and space will be recognized as the temple of earth. No other temple will have any recognition compared to this place. This will be known as the holiest of holies. Yeah? This will be the sanctuary not just of the avatar, but of all of humanity. Yeah? The radiating light that reaches all the way to the beginning and before the creation of human beings, before the creation of butterflies, before the creation of all things, vegetables, plants, all of that, all of it is being touched by the avatar. All of it. Yeah? Not a second is left. Yeah? So that has an enormous effect on the process of catching people up. Yeah? Forgiving people from the beginning of time. Yeah? Just taking it on by being a human being, because as a human being, we are all one. We all have one karma. Yeah? We're not individuals with bad karma. Yeah? We're all individuals in a really bad situation. Yeah? And with my incarnation and the incarnations of all my previous incarnations, it elevated humanity up, it cleaned up karma every single time, and it moved us on to a new evolutionary leap. Yeah? A real leap. 2,000 years between Jesus and now, that leap went into, major thresholds of speed from 1950 on. Yeah? That's because I was physically incarnated. Yeah? And collectively, everything comes together. And so many people were blessed. The whole of the planet was blessed before they incarnated. So new relationships were come together, closer and closer to their right relationships in future incarnations. Nothing immediate, yeah? But as many as immediate as possible. As many as possible, yeah? Christ would draw together right relationships so good women and good men would find each other and live good lives. and change the world. Yeah? And there's a lot of assholes out there, so a lot of assholes would pop up, and do their crazy ass thing and just be absolutely absorbed in selfish recognition, thinking that glorified the world is ready for us. Yeah? And it's just the purging of the last of their desire body. Because their desire body is what makes up this astral plane. It's what that energy is out there. Yeah? It's the desire body of people. And it really doesn't exist. It's something that when you begin meditating or you become a nice, kind person and a loving person and you're giving back and forth in a natural way, just because you're healed, just because you're blessed by God, yeah? That energy reduces the desire body down to the absolute bliss body. Yeah? You don't have desires, you're fulfilled. Everything is fantastic. Yeah? Does that make sense? The only reason you have a desire body is because it's been taken away from you. All the bliss and all the wonder and all the beautiful things that comes with God. Yeah? So that's the energy behind the rays. Each one of the rays is an influence of harmonic distribution coming from God. And it comes from higher dimensions that go all the way out, way far out, creating and manifesting angelic reality, angelic order. Yeah? Those are really far dimensions, but since they're so far, they can see what's going on this dimension. If we can see what's going on a 1 or 2 dimension, looking at something like this, we could see clearly because we're not that dimension, we're a higher dimension. Yeah? So we have more opportunities to understand things. We're seeing them in 1 dimension, 2nd dimension, 3rd dimension, 4th dimension, yeah? The higher dimensions we get, 5th, 6th, yeah? When we reach Christ, we're omnipresent, we're omnidimensional, yeah? We have ways of looking down at things and seeing things in such a collective order that it all just harmonically begins coming together, yeah? Because when you see things from above, you understand and you support what is even more above you, what it is that's actually controlling this whole thing, which is God. Yeah, I mean, you got to get really nothingness to get out to those dimensions, but Christ provides that. That's what's in the body of Christ, is nothingness. Yeah. So in the influence of setting down an ashram here, calling it the things that I do, setting up all these little funny things, and doing these meditations, it's an invocation, evocation. Yeah, that has to do with the desire body. Yeah? And the desire body has to do with lunar lords or demons and false prophets and others that are holding on to their desire body, and other people who are 6th ray fanatical or whatever are fulfilling their desire body. Yeah? It's not about the average person, the 99.9% of humanity. They don't have a problem with their desire body. Their problem is that they never get their desires fulfilled. But somebody else is, in a delusionary way, yeah, by sacrificing humanity to do so. Yeah, whether it be GMO or whether it be the oil companies or, yeah. So it's in that area that the desire body is manifested. And it can be cleared up just by the externalization of Christ. Because Christ forgives that 99% out there. And it moves them to not have the desire to fulfill that desire body. Does that make sense? It's a crazy-ass mean desire body to create football. It's really mean. It's very mean. It's a desire body. It's not yours. You're just fulfilling it. It's so strong, yeah? And that's the purpose of Christ. That's the purpose of why I go where I go, why I'm going to the UK, why I'm going to Glastonbury. Because there's covens next door, across the street, around the corner, witches openly walking around, warlocks saying the devil exists and they are the devil incarnate, and just having a heyday of thinking God totally does not exist, to the point in which actually the devil exists. And God is your makeup. You've made that up. Yeah. So they can just freely walk about doing what they're doing. And I go there in order to do what I'm doing here. But I'm going back 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, Stonehenge, yeah, building of the pyramid, yeah, 15, 20,000, yeah, the Anglo reality of going out around the earth and sailing and learning exploration and all those things that stem from lunar lords and pollute the earth and cause so many terrible, terrible outcomes in the evolution and the ecology, yeah, and the making of industry, all the things that we're supposed to evolve through, industry, technology, all these things we're supposed to evolve through, but we could do all those things without capitalism. It could have happened a million times faster by there actually being the creative humanitarianism rather than capitalism. And that's what we're moving into, is humanitarianism. Yeah? Where human beings will make the decision. Yeah? It won't buy from, if it says Philippines and if it says Pakistan, if it says, you just go, I know it's $19, but nevertheless, I think I won't do that. Yeah? Makes sense? And you actually got to put it in your aura. You actually got to freaking buy it, and then come up with that, face it. It's not a hard issue, but that's what's going on in people's lives. That everybody's being provided what the desire body has fulfilled. And we're all just reaping it, whether it be iPhone or, whatever, we're reaping it. But they're all getting judged. Yeah? The light is penetrating them because humanity is good. Humanity is receiving Christ. Yeah? There are so many out there right now that are so aware of the externalization, the coming of Christ, the process of Christ, without it being a religious, fanatical process. Literally a prophetic process, where people are waking up and so openly clear as to how Christ might present himself. And that's a major difference between the way it was 10, 15 years ago. Any form of physical Christ is not going to be accepted 10, 15 years ago. Yeah? You got to be able to put your hand through him, or he's not going to be accepted, none whatsoever. That's not what they say today. They say we physically expect him to be walking amongst us. We know that he is involved with helping us protect us from extraterrestrials. Yeah? And that even the Pope himself has set up a process of how they're going to deal with extraterrestrials that represent the Antichrist and are going to appear, right there at the Pope's little place. They're all, they're actually doing that. They're preparing, they're studying, because in the Bible it talks all about that. That this is the way the Antichrist works and this is the way the Christ works. And the prophecies showing that what happened 2,000 years ago is going to repeat itself now. And the only way that they're pulling that together is that events happen in cycles, like a movie picture. And that's the way the churches are beginning to see it. That reincarnation actually exists. The events of the past actually reappear. And that's how we can see prophecy in the Bible. We can say Abram did this and this done that. Yeah? That's how now they're understanding why they're thinking this is prophetic. Why are we looking at the past, thinking this has something to do with now? And now they're beginning to understand that. And they're actually speaking about that. Yeah? So that's a big thing. That's quite a revelation. Yeah? Inside of a large group of people. I'm talking large. I've seen on TV where there's 1.4 million people who converted to Christ at one event. Yeah, in Nigeria, to the point in which a short period of time, 70 million people converted to Christ. All signed a card, everything, converted to Christ. during a series of events, and each event had over 1 million people. You want go to God TV, and you'll see this. Yeah, yeah. You'll see preachers talking about extraterrestrials and coming to Christ. You'll see preachers saying that in July we expect that Christ has already physically reincarnated, and that he's going to walk into an event that he told us to build. It's going to happen this coming June or July. Yeah, and it's a Woodstock for the coming of Christ. Yeah, they're gathering all the bands and all the singers and everybody. You know, they're hoping that it'll be as big as Woodstock. And they actually believe Christ is going to come walking in. Sit right down. Yeah. Yeah, and they're not expecting the sky to open for him to make appearance. They're expecting actually for them to have their own self open and see the appearance. That's what they're witnessing. That it's not about the coming of the Christ, or how he's going to appear, it's whether or not we are able to see him appear. And that's what they're preparing for. So they got prophecy. They go 444, this particular thing in the Bible and everything, you know, and they're going 444, what's that about? I don't know, there's a lot of people getting dreams about 444. And then they get direction, go to this place, 444. And then this guy would get this thing, oh, I've got to do this concert thing, you know, and it has to do with 444, you know, and they look in the Bible and it talks about the coming of the Christ, you know, and then they get to a place to where someone actually says, you know, well, I think I have the place for you, you know, and then they go, you know, well, you know, it's, how many acres is it? 444 acres. And I said, wow, that's amazing. So, well, this goes to a prophecy that goes back to a time that we believe is coming back around 2,000 years ago. And it happened in a particular location. And the name of the location was this particular name. And he goes, whoa, now that's amazing. Because for the last 7 years, I've been praying over this every day under that scripture, 444. Every day. Yeah? And one day came to me that I should name it this. And it was the name of that ancient city. Yeah. Yeah. That God came to, angels came to, all these events took place to prophesize the coming of the Lord. That's what happened in that event. Yeah. You know, so this guy's like, you know, all these things are coming together, 444, you know. So they actually got it. They are doing it. They're doing it this June. So go to God TV and see if you can find it. Go there. You know, show up. I'm going to be there. You know, see what happens, walk around, have a cup of coffee, you know, enjoy myself. So we're going in to UK. From UK, we go to India. Yeah, and India is a place called Pyramid Valley, and the pyramids are the Buddha Maitreya meditation pyramids. Yeah. You know, so that's been a long time in the works. You know, these gurus doing this, working this, you know, developing this. And they've invited us to come, and I'm going to be there on the first day, you know, right after lunch. You know, first the guy who's the guru who set this thing up, he's going to do his flute and give a talk about the whole event, yeah. And then we're all going to have lunch, and then after lunch, he's going to introduce me. That's on the first day, yeah? And then I give a 2.5 hour talk. So I'll be doing Jesus this, Jesus that, and we'll see how they handle it. Yeah, you know. So that will go for 2.5 hours. Yeah, I get to teach in this pyramid, and that's for the introduction of the whole thing. Then the following day, right after breakfast, I get to do meditation. Yeah, so we do an own meditation. So the first 2 days of cycle. This is all about right relationship. This is all about order. So the way it came down is that I'm going to be there to give the teaching that will establish the whole entire premise of this foundation. Yeah? And I'll teach you how to own, which will establish my relationship as an incarnation on earth and the lineage of creation. Yeah? Going back to creation. Yeah? You know, so I don't know if they're going to continue the Om, but I'm leaving everybody these cards that have the Om on it, that have teachings on it, and all of my music is on that card. So they just download it and they get every single thing. And they can own anytime they want, and they can use it with their entire family or their workplace or whatever. But we are distributing thousands of these cards out in India. Yeah? That's kind of cool. Yeah? So this is setting up an energetic relationship. Just, we can all go intellectual, but in my case, I'm in the process of helping to further the externalization of the 7 rays. Yeah? The angelic order of humanity. How humanity is angels. Yeah? And that the only way in which they can find right relationship in each one of their chakras is to be with Christ, have Christ inside them, so that they could be reborn as the angel that they are in heaven. So to do this, I invoke the 7 rays, which are my 7 chakras, which are angelically qualities in themselves, qualities that are inside of each individual. Yeah? So it gives everybody all their uniqueness. It could be manifested in so many different ways. Yeah? But it gives us a sense of where our creation comes from. It starts us off without any quality of a desire body, yeah, because we've been created. Does that make sense? It's different than being in a mind thinking you have free will and you're creating all this shit and it's all at your fault or all good or all bad because of you, whatever, It's very different if this whole thing is actually encompassed by God, and that you are actually radiating and experiencing the oneness of God's creation. No matter how hard it is, you still feel that God is in charge and hasn't left anybody, and that if you can just kind of say positive things, it instills things around you that are stuck by that imperiled desire body. Does that make sense? Yeah? So that's what those 7 rays do. And when we do this meditation, we're going to do the 7 rays, yeah? The 7 rays and the 7 chakras. That's going to be done right after the meditation. So listen to it, yeah? And align to what it's saying, because everything I just said is all about what's in that, yeah? It's all about the alignment of the 7 rays, the healing of all the elements in creation, yeah? That are all there. Everything that's manifested, every plant and every animal, every single thing, yeah? And just don't think about it, but just remember, that all things, war and suffering, and all the illness and all the things are caused by imbalance of these things. All of them. It's all real, true. Yeah? It's caused by an imbalance of God's creation. It's not God's creation. God is not creating it. Yeah? Yeah? So everything can change. Every single thing. And we just don't go, angrily destroying anything. We go to understanding. And our desire bodies flip to where we just understand and we no longer cooperate with that, but we cooperate with God. Does that make sense? That way, everything, if we watch TV, if we read things, we're not looking at all the faults in ourselves because we've lost God, but we're actually looking at it with God's eyes looking at it. Yeah? When we eat food, those are God's taste buds. Does that make sense? Because all of our senses, every single one of them, is our link to God. That's how we give offerings to God. That's the purpose for our incarnation. When we see something, we need to calm down so we could see the link that God has in front of us. When we hear something, we need to calm down, not go personal, but go God, so we could see God. Yeah? And that gets God inside. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because if you just reflect through your astral body, what's going on in the astral field, it's freaking confusing. There's all misrepresented information going out there. And if you're with God, it just doesn't matter. You have no reaction to it. it's like, that's empty. Just empty. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then there are other things that aren't empty. And it is the whole world, the whole furthering of the world, change in the world, even things that other people would see as bad, you would see as reform. Necessary change. Yeah? The death of the old, got to be a beginning of a new. Just takes time for us to get past this. Those kind of thoughts start passing through your head. Does that make sense? Yeah? And that's how God is seeing it from these far-off dimensions. As that light's coming in and these changes are taking place and order is coming together, God sees it unconditionally, loves it unconditionally, and you'll see it exactly in the same way God does. Does that make sense? Yeah? So that's why I'm going to Glastonbury. That's why I'm going to India. Because we're a planetary species. We're a whole elemental process. What could go wrong is masses of really bad people. You know? Putting out a nuclear war, creating all kinds of havoc in biogerm, processes, and other industries manifesting all kinds of terrible things to our food, to our water, to our air, Those things just need to stop. We don't know they're going on. They're behind the scene. That's what the desire body is all about. Yeah. It desires to do its own will without anybody having anything to say about it. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah. So only in the Christ light do we have the ability to release and let go and further all humanity upward like this. Now all of a sudden, people start seeing that this town is having this problem and these people are going through this, and well, let's lend a hand. Let's do something about that. Well, we don't want to go that way, so now we're going to make a decision not to make the same decision they made to go that direction. Does that make sense? Everything starts getting incorporated. We start having revelation. We start seeing what others are doing and feeling. Same with technology and advancements. Yeah? We're not afraid of small, independent people doing the job. Rather than industries. Yeah? We can actually get what we really need from small independent people rather than what's forced down our throat, cheap things that we don't really need, that are just being manifested because we're confused in the process of actually fulfilling a need. Does that make sense? Yeah. So as a healing takes place, it heals the ability of people's self-worth. It strengthens people's independence. It slowly but surely creates aspiration. Yeah? And it creates morals. Yeah? Moral wholesomeness and kindness. All those things become growing attributes inside of people. Yeah? Even today, they're showing that, on many different avenues, they're showing that concussions in football are so evident, and there's nothing we could do about it other than stop playing football and stop playing many other sports that are aligned to the same thing. Yeah? It's not a matter of this or that. It's just clear cut. This is the way. Yeah? And what they're coming to is that it's really the end of this stuff. These are the last days. It will end. Yeah? Because people are just not going to allow their children to do that. Yeah? They're not going to grow up as grown-ups and do it anymore. They're going to complain about having done it. Yeah? They're going to turn around, whether you be a gang leader or whether you be a football player or whether you be a boxer. Before they die, they're going to turn around and tell everybody else, don't do it. And that's going to happen. And that's going to close the door really fast. Not just their neighbors, not just their grandchildren and their children, but they're going to get on TV. There's going to be a lot of information coming out of people asking for help because they're not getting it from the football league. They're not getting it from the boxing league. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's going to be that's the healing process we're going to go through. Yeah. And that's why I go to these places, because every place I go to has to do with the kundalini between the earth and myself, which is the masses of humanity, all of humanity. If I go to Glastonbury, what if there are some saints that happen to be incarnated in the UK, which there are? You know, don't you think they would get a big time blessing from me passing my way through there? Well, so do I. And so does then everybody else. It lifts everybody up from the small amount of evolution people have, developed, can be spread very quickly by someone myself who's not seeking anything, but just helping to raise everybody else by going through the same process. You know what I mean? Yeah. So by going to those places, it raises those people up who are actually busy developing their soul. Yeah? Not about them being somebody, but it's about them going through hell. 80% of these people that are filled with light are also surrounded by hell. Yeah? Poor, can't make a decision on clothing, don't know what job to take, can't hold a job, confused between their relationships, don't know how to have to deal with their parents and all that because there's so much going on a deep inner spiritual level that's moving by the Christ light coming into the world. But if you study saints, you'll see that almost every single saint had nervous breakdowns. Yeah? They were nuts. Yeah? Because of the difficulty that they had to go through being such a small, minute point of light. While others are out there in a lunar quality just dancing around, acting as though they're spiritual, and yet the real saints are suffering. Does that make sense? Yeah. And I witness that. I do believe that. I know that in myself, so it's got to be pretty much evident in the rest of all the saints, They go through shit that Kala Rinpoche didn't think he would be going through what he went through, And that screws up his brain every day, Does that make sense? So I believe by me going to these places helps to raise up and give light to people who are newly incarnated, people who have done good in the past, people who are trying to do good now, people who are suffering greatly because they are a point of light, but they haven't the ability to completely pull it out. Yeah? And to dispel glamour. To hit glamour like a nuclear bomb. Does that make sense? Yeah? Because for every breath I take, for every time I wake up in the morning, it is a radiating pulse of another 24 hours is going to get hit. Yeah? And it's pushing. There's nothing about me that is relaxed in the form of, I don't see anything happening. I spend all my time looking to witness things happening, good or bad. Yeah? So that pulses out into humanity greatly. Yeah? If I go to China, I happen to be there on the day that they launch a man into space for the first time. Yeah? And the day in which trade takes place for the first time in China. I happen to be in the hotel that it's taking place. And all the people from all around and all the Tibetans, when they're gathering for the first time with China, I happen to be there. Yeah? Events like that are little. They are going to have their effect. And no one knows the outcome of the effect other than the fact that I know that the outcome of humanity is to have morals, yeah, and to be honest, and to be kind, yeah, to be giving, yeah. It doesn't take anything. You just got to wake up and have all these opportunities come at you, and not turn yourself around to them. Make sense? God provides, and God provides what it is you're supposed to be doing. And if that means you're not supposed to be doing anything, then relax. Does that make sense? Take it as it is. Whatever it is what it is. Yeah? God tests a person if they think they're to be really something, and all of a sudden they're not given anything. That's a test. Does that make sense? Yeah. God's always in the process of pushing a person through a process in which they need to release and to grow from. Yeah? So every life, every day, God provides the opportunity. He also provides you all the things. He provides you ways to pay your rent, provides you ways to eat, what to eat, who to know, all those things. But God also provides you with how to serve God and how to make it a better world. Yeah? Does that make sense? Yeah? So to me, it's just a matter of not expecting too much of what that service is supposed to be. Just be there. Wake up. Don't kill yourself. Don't talk other people down. Be open, and that's all it takes. Because a lot of times service is change in yourself. Just changing yourself. Just going over and meditating or conquering, processes that you can't get over with. So God gives you all the time, all the space, all the opportunities, and in the end you will. And in the end you're going to go, wow, God's so good, man. Does that make sense? All right, so let's do this. Meditation, 20 minutes. I got a clock in front of me. I first start with the invocation of invoking the power, the love, the wisdom of our ashram, soul, and monad. And that invocation is to help align us to the reality that we're not just, going through life. Yeah? We are always God's children. Yeah? We are in a divine place. Every morning is divine. We just are ignorant. Yeah? And all that's going on is God is erasing your ignorance. Yeah? Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to do is invoke your cooperation in the erasing of that ignorance. Yeah? Helping you move down a straight line. Yeah? You invoke the power, the love, the wisdom of your ashram, soul, and monad. Yeah? You're invoking the reality that God exists. Yeah? You're invoking the reality that you include everybody in God's existence, in God's blessings. Yeah? And the reality that you believe that God provides the soul, and it's not something that we can meditate for or buy. Yeah? It's not something that we personally acquire, but it's something that we are. Yeah? We just aren't connected to it. God is it. God is that soul. Yeah? Without God, we're interpreting the soul. Yeah? But we do not have the soul. Yeah? Because it includes everything. Power, love, wisdom, yeah? Your ashram, your soul, and your monad. When you get to the monad, the influence of knowing that God exists, yeah? And being able to represent God in a knowing place, not just, like Allah exists or, Buddha is a representative of God, but get to the truth. Yeah? When we get to that truth, we find that, oh my God, yeah, there's Jesus. No matter what name we take, if we really clear ourselves up, it comes down to Jesus. Yeah? Because Jesus actually created something inside of the human cell, inside of the human body, that gives us this opportunity for ascension, for resurrection, for redemption. Yeah? Nobody else, it's all incarnation of the same being, but it was that being, it was that cycle that turned the tide of time. So now we're in the time of God. Yeah? And everybody is in the hands of God. Everybody. Nothing is outside. Anything that needed to be fixed is getting fixed. Yeah? So that's why we're getting our power back. Yeah? And we're getting love. And we're getting wisdom of our ashram, soul, and monad. Because the soul comes from collective reality. We're all soul. Yeah? Monad means we're one with God. Yeah? And the ashram means that we're going to choose what we're eating. Yeah? We're going to choose what we're driving. We're going to choose if we put gas in or if we don't put gas in. Yeah? Every time we make a personal choice, we do that because we're in an ashram. Yeah? When you start making choices like that, and a lot of humanity is making choices like that, whether it be all plastic bag crazy, just, I'm going to save the earth, It's a small bit of the truth that's actually moving them to do that. Yeah? And that gets a calmer and calmer and calmer reality as we turn our back to things that have turned their back toward nature, and allowing the Dark Lodge to come in and surface all this crap that is 99% useless, yeah? That is just going to slowly but surely be withered away to the point where we can recycle it and everything. And we're going to do that because we have a monadic being. We're monadic. We're angelic, yeah? That's what it takes to be in the ashram, not just to have a soul, but to actually know God, physically know God, and be in the angelic presence inside yourself as God's physical incarnation. A body of God is inside you, yeah? And it changes the way you see things. Does that make sense? Yeah? And every time you pray, you're praying with all of this energy coming into you. Yeah? Does that make sense? Okay, so that is for the healing of your body, that is for the healing of your emotions, that is for the healing of your mind, that is to bring the soul in, and that is to serve Christ as an aspect of nature. It's an aspect of nature. That's why it's all what it is. By nature, it's about God. So slowly but surely, we get down to the point where we are one with God, to the point that we allow God, in cooperation, to fulfill God's plan. Does that make sense? That's what this is about. That's what this invocation is about. Yeah? Not about us as individuals, but it's about the fulfillment of the whole of humanity and a manifestation of God's plan. All right, here we go. Amen. Yay. I see that on TV. They all go amen. I go amen a lot. I'm going to ring a bowl for a minute, and you're going to hear some tones, and then I'll say, we'll begin the invocation. Okay? Just close your eyes. Okay, we're going to begin the invocation. Repeat after me each sentence. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad.
I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of my ashram, soul, and monad.
to guide me into the right activity in the plan,
to guide me into the right activity in the plan,
to clarify and stimulate my mind,
to clarify and stimulate my mind,
to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions,
to transform and transmute my feelings and emotions,
to energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body,
to energize and vitalize and heal my physical and etheric body,
so there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body.
so there is a normal flow of energy in my physical and etheric body.
Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One.
Through this day and every day, I ask this in the name of the Christ to serve the One.
All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
All in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Okay, we'll begin the Om. Take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
Do a silent meditation for about 2 minutes. Focus on your breathing. Whatever thoughts come in, just try and relax. Just think of God blessing whatever thought comes in. I invoke the power, the love, and the wisdom of your ashram, soul, and monad. To guide you into the right activity in the plan. I invoke the alignment of the 7 rays. To your 7 chakras. third ray. To your throat center. I invoke the alignment of the seventh ray. To your sacral center. I invoke the alignment of the second ray to your heart center. I invoke the alignment of the sixth ray to your solar plex. I invoke the alignment of the first ray to your crown center. I invoke the alignment of the fourth ray to your base center. I invoke the alignment of the fifth ray to your brow center. I invoke the light of the Christ within. I invoke the nature of the Buddha that you are to become. I invoke the mind of the Devic angelic beingness that you can be. I invoke the celestial spheres, the sounds of heaven, the sounds of God, the song of love.
lines of this earth, the pulse of the seven rays, the awakening of the Logos, the healing of humanity, the coming forth of the hierarchy, the saving grace of truth. All mankind to dream in visions, to awaken, to live.
Okay. That's a great one, isn't it? Isn't it so cool? I must say so myself. Always blows my mind. But that's the teachings of God. That's just blows my mind, should blow yours, it's just amazing. Because the truth is evident. The truth is what it is. It's evident. And can't be squelched, can't be stopped. But the truth is part of a cycle of life. And real truth is that July 10th in 2020 doesn't happen until July 10th in 2020, But that's a God thing. That's not how we go, Oh, it's not happening now. Why didn't it happen yesterday? But all these things that God makes us aware of, the fact that there is, 24 hours in a day, and that, and we get to look at this, and we're actually tuning in to the ever-present reality of life, God's life giving. Yeah, that it's amazing that it is so rhythmic, it is so harmonious, it is, and then you see the butterfly, and then it's just so big in the evolution of the creation. Yeah, and it really, the process of recreating, growing, you can only grow out of what you are. Yeah, you can't be something other than that. You can only grow out of that. But its evolution is change. So what you might be growing out of, you're not going to go back to, but it certainly is going to decrystallize. Yeah, and when that crystallization is there, the decrystallization is a catharsis. Yeah, because it's like in these chakras. Yeah, the healthy chakras are in a certain way, and the unhealthy chakras are in another way. Well, that's absolutely 100% what it is that is involved in the process of humanity's evolution. It's getting closer and closer to the attunement of the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit. Yeah, the relationship of love, the relationship of God. Yeah? And those are the strongest influences that come through our higher mind. It comes from a crown center, our throat center, yeah? And when we're having our relationship, when we're waking up, it's solely because something in our life, our evolution, is allowing us to have a more clarified brow center, more clarified chakras. It's just happening naturally, yeah? People can bust their ass, but no one's going to get to July 10th, 2020-something before then. Yeah, we're all going to get there at the same time. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, because it's God. It's God. You can't push it. You can't make it any different. But the process could be different. How the healing process takes place, but the event will remain the same. Yeah, 2000, whatever, July 10th, the event remains the same. Yeah, we have had, and always have, very spiritual holy events take place on the planet. Alignment, energy, coming of Christ, all these things happen, and they happen in order, not where, oh, this is a big event, but nothing else was big at the time. Yeah, there are so many non-coincidental alignments and manifestations that happen during a divine event, yeah, that help the process of understanding that these little events, us knowing what time it is, knowing what calendar date it is just our ignorance in relationship to holy days, holy events. Yeah, because we're not at that point, that far off point where the event takes place, but we're getting close. And that's how prophecy comes in, that's how awakening is pushed. Yeah. So by me doing what I'm doing, running around, building this, and manifesting these pyramids in India, getting them to cooperate and name them Buddha Maitreya meditation pyramids, getting them to cooperate and not do any mantras, just sit silently until I get there. Yeah. Getting them to just clean up their lives, try and be nicer, do whatever they can to, think of themselves as highly evolved, consciously awaking human beings, yeah, and embody themselves in that pyramid. There's something secretive, something manifested inside there. Embody yourself inside of it, let it manifest. Well, they'll know why later, yeah. But in the enlightenment level, the creation of that, the creation of geomancy, the creation of God's plan and order is part of the enlightened aspect of masters when they begin helping others. They help them through a simple relationship of aligning to divinity, whether it be certain events that come around, certain alignments of the stars, or relationship of building and sitting in a pyramid. When we're really at a very high level, when we really actually are at the place where we see the signs of Christ, we actually see other living masters who are manifesting in cooperation with Christ, you'll see Pyramid Valley. Yeah, you'll see that manifesting. You'll see large numbers of people buying pyramids. Yeah, not thinking they're crazy, putting head pyramids on their head. Yeah, literally doing it because they're more enlightened than most people. Because enlightenment is happening. It's there. All the signs are there. Yeah, it is structurally sound. Yeah, it's manifesting and from higher mind and into the desire body and wiping away that process where people cannot make a commitment to God. It's not about, holy shit, I'm believing in an invisible, thing, or I got to go that far, or, all those veils get cleaned up before you ever have to ask. Does that make sense? It becomes more and more and more and more and more relevant to yourself, something you've already come up with, something that's cleaned up in your life. You come across an etheric weaver, no one's pushing God down your throat, although they are saying they're made by Jesus Christ, but that's for you to decide. Yeah. Nevertheless, here's your etheric weaver, and holy crap, look at all it does. Yeah. And it doesn't care who does it. Asshole could do it. Yeah. Nice person could do it. Yeah. It's just going to happen. The asshole stops being an asshole, though. Yeah. Yeah. Because it is about the event. And when the event is happening, then the masses of wisdom or the mastery of how enlightenment really happens start coming out so that people can interact with the naturalness of becoming enlightened. It's a yogic response. It's a natural yogic response. Yeah? In watching these religious shows, God TV especially, I particularly recommend that one. Yeah, and along with another one that's called Vice, Viceland. Some people hate it, some people love it. Yeah, because it's very honest, it's very truthful. There's a lot of stuff that is totally, crazier than shit. And the whole movement of certain lifestyles and culture, but it's only presenting it. Yeah, it's not saying this is the way it's got to be. It's just the way it is, and this is a crazy ass situation. And this is where we're at, And one of the big things is that it shows how a show called Etiquette, which is about the ongoing process of legalizing marijuana, and originally it's about getting high, but now it's becoming more about the medicinal aspect, and not just so that it can cure cancer, but literally that just by the CBD alone, just by having it in your diet, whether you're eating seeds or cereal, adding it into a protein drink or, things like that. Literally, that's a food for the brain and the soul. Yeah. So we're starting to get, shifts in the desire body that's providing us things that are soulful. Yeah. Laws that's, if they legalize this stuff, they're taking out black market that is so unsoulful. Countries that are wiped out, Mexico, other countries, even America, borderline, all over, just wiped away and getting crossed over into other really hard drugs. Yeah. Once this is legalized, then people get what it is that's inside of it, and what's inside of it makes you nicer. Yeah. Makes you less addicted to alcohol, less addicted to beating someone, less addicted to hostility, less addicted to a lot of things. And slowly but surely, you just realize, well, crap, it's the CBD. And crap, this can keep you from getting cancer. This could regulate your emotional body, which is part of your desire body. Yeah. And all the influences that comes with allowing this to be legalized allows a quickening inside the process of humanity to be healed. Taking away GMO, opening up less corporate farming, going into more family farming, making things more organic, people choosing to eat less meat, making choices to have grass-fed, and then slowly but surely moving it down to where really that's just the smallest part of what they have in a meal. Yeah, they love the vegetables because it's these chakras. Yeah, you're smelling different, you're tasting different. Yeah, all those things have divinity, and they need divinity in order to keep living. Yeah, it's compassion, it's empathy, it's a natural response inside the system. Yeah, and you can, even your desire body, which is the little person's desire body, starts manifesting into the world, rather than the conglomerates that don't give a shit about the little person. It takes away your will, your power, your soul, your monad, your ashram, yeah, makes it illegal, yeah, puts all these things on top of it, completely taking away your power, taking away every single thing that we're invoking. Yeah, but by invoking and doing all this, up from the bottom, evolutionarily comes all this stuff. Yeah. So by eating right, by taking away laws that are right, not right, by changing certain events, that's all happening from blessings. Yeah. By doing Om, yeah, by meditating, by using the etheric weaver, by large numbers of people accepting Christ in their life and not just getting fanatical, yeah, but actually changing being an asshole to being a nice person. There's a lot of preachers out there that are honest and telling you that they were the biggest asshole you could ever meet, and the only reason why they're a preacher is because God changed them, and they know that it can happen because such an asshole had happened to them. Yeah, and they really truly are honest. They really truly are, not freaked out because they're such a big asshole. Does it make sense? Yeah. So it is manifesting, yeah, and hate is extremism is manifesting at the same time. So going out and doing these meditations and people, what numbers that can come to these pujas is really great, because that increases the possibility for people to inherit the energy that comes from Christ. Yeah, because I've been here for 65 years, but not that many people actually met me. Now we're going to go to London, where I've met hundreds of people at a time. They know me really well there. It's just that it's kind of like, that was a long time ago, 20, 30 years ago, but it's still there in the ground. It's still there in everything. Every single time I went out, I did pujas. Very powerful pujas, just like I do here. Yeah, rocked the boat tremendously everywhere. Yeah, so going back there, it increases that process of the cycle. Yeah, my coming around and doing certain things. Yeah, and Europe is not in the best place. Yeah, Europe needs change. Every place in the world needs change. Yeah, so I'm not going around thinking, oh, I'm going to get, Christ is going to get a recognition. No, I'm believing that God is going to get revelation. God's dream is going to manifest. God's dream is first, not people's. People are in the wake of God's dream, and they're the manifestation of God's dream. But God's dream, Satan, is messing up. God's dream destroyed the relationship between Adam and Eve. God's dream totally separated the reality of Christ coming as a bridegroom and coming with a bride. Totally separated. Everybody's just like crazy. Yeah? They're totally thinking demigod, God the Christ, that's it, that's all there is to it. When in reality, it's two or more that heals this thing. That's where it all went down. That's where it all comes back together again. Yeah? It's all about unity. Yeah? It's all about love. Yeah? And you can't have Satan stand between anybody. And that's how Satan stands between heaven and earth. By slowing down and inhibiting the dream of God. God's only dream. You can look in the Bhagavad Gita, you can look in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you can look at them all, and they all have the same dream. Even in the last revelation of Jesus, he has the same dream. And he's going to kick ass to get it. He's willing to go all the way. So that's the as far as I'm concerned, that's the process. It's as the two become one, the many become enlightened. It's all a manifestation of oneness. It's all a manifestation of Christ manifesting in the revelation of God and not in the desire body of humanity. Because if Christ doesn't fulfill your desire body, you get really pissed off. Does it make sense? There is no agreement. Yeah? Because it's a revelation. It's not about, Christ fulfilling anybody's desire body. Christ is only fulfilling the plan of prophecy, the dream of God, the fulfillment of God, which is a really big one. Yeah? The outcome of that is incredible. The outcome is the relationship of empowering every living cell inside of a human being. Every living cell from here on out can be empowered just by manifesting the union on earth as it's seen in the mind of God. Fulfilling that, it's just like all the different stars and everything aligning. Imagine the big alignment. Yeah? And that settles everything, because everything is based on this very simple principle. God is an androgynous being. Yeah? And then God splits off and becomes creation. Yeah? So the only problem we got is between God and creation. Does that make sense? So it's that union is God's dream. Is manifesting that union. And God's dream does it in such a simple way, we all experience it as love. As our own personal dream. Yeah? And that's exactly the same dream God has, but no one can get that in their head. They want to make God out to be a totally other different thing, where in reality, it's the same dream you got. We're all having the same dream. And we're all fulfilling the same dream. When we look out there, we see enormous chaos in the fulfillment of that dream. Men and women cannot stay together. They can't find right relationship. Yeah? The male and female is totally, we don't know whether or not we're male or female. We can choose. Yeah? The dream is a nightmare. Does that make sense? That's the time God's got to come in and eliminate that nightmare and bring back the dream and fulfill the dream. And that's revelation. All right. Enjoy. Have a nice dream tonight. And take this back. All right.